Toy With Me. My name is Jerome Montgomery, and I have the honor of serving as the Executive Director of Project Vida. Toy With Me is our monthly live and live streaming event where we discuss and explore ways of creating a spicier, safer sexual experience through education on the use of adult toys, as well as an exploration of kink and fetish. Here at Toy With Me, we promote sex positivity and embrace all gender-loving communities. Toy With Me events are sponsored and produced by Project Vida, a nonprofit organization located on the southwest side of Chicago, where we provide a host of low-cost or free services to the community, including behavioral health services, case management services, food pantry services, acupuncture and massage, as well as rental and utility assistance. Once again, we would like to show you how grateful we are by joining us tonight. We encourage you or welcome you to just sit back and enjoy, or join us in the conversation by dropping your questions or comments into the chat, and one of the individuals on screen will be happy to answer your questions. At this time, I would like to ask you to join me in welcoming the gentleman of ONYX Midwest.
Thanks, Jerome. I'm Cariño Blaze ONYX of ONYX Midwest. ONYX was founded in 1995 to bridge men of color to the leather community through education and fraternization. With 10 chapters nationwide, the Midwest chapter serves Chicago, St. Louis, Milwaukee, Des Moines, and other cities in the Midwest. You can visit onyxmidwest.com to learn more. We're proud to partner with Project Vida for Toy With Me, bringing Kink 101 topics to our community, and we hope you enjoy the show. Thanks.
Hey y'all, I am your host Phobos ONYX, and welcome to Toy With Me. This month we'll be focusing on penetration, and I have with me here today boy Mayura ONYX. Welcome to Toy With Me. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for having me, Phobos. My name is Boy Mayura. I am the historian out of ONYX Great Lakes, and I am excited to be here in Chicago and doing this Project Vida Toy With Me. Yeah, I'm excited.
Oh, well, thank you. Let's get into the topic. What do you identify as top, bottom, or verse? And how did you realize that was the position for you?
So, ironically for me, I grew up thinking that I was a lesbian and I would do topping most of the time because I was a stud. And when I transitioned, I felt like, you know, a part of me had this stigma around bottoming, and I felt like it wasn't a masculine thing to do. So for a very long time, I didn't bottom. I was like, I'm not gonna do it because men don't bottom like that. Especially as a trans man, I was like, people are already gonna assume I want to bottom, so I'm not gonna bottom. And then, you know, after talking with my spouse about it for like a year of us going through different trials and tribulations of sexual kink experiences, they were like, you know what? I really think you're a bottom, babe. Like, and that's okay. And I was, you know, I was a little heartbroken. I was a little taken back, like offended. It was an intervention. It was like, you are a bottom and it is okay to be a bottom. So, you know, now I am a proud bottom. Okay. I can say it proudly, and I am excited to profess it to the interweb right now.
Growth. I know that's right. Me, myself, I'm verse, so I have my opinions on the whole thing. Cis male verse. I would ask, have you ever topped or bottom? But you already answered that question. Myself, I have. Have you ever pegged or been pegged?
You know, I have pegged and been pegged.
What's the difference between topping and bottom and pegging? You know, give us some info on that.
So for me, I don't really think there's a difference just because I am in a relationship with someone who is AFAB, which means they were assigned female at birth. Mm-hmm. So a lot of our sex together is pegging. Okay. So for us, that is bottoming. Like, I bottom during a pegging session. Mm-hmm. And I have been the person who has pegged them before. Sorry, they are non-binary. Okay. So, you know, for me, I think they're the same thing when you're bottoming and you're pegging and receiving being pegged. Yeah.
Okay. I was going to ask, do you think there's a stigma for, that comes with topping, bottoming, and verse. You kind of already answered that, but one thing I want to bring up is the stigma of a bottom always being more feminine and a top always being more masculine. I've seen a lot of feminine tops and I've seen a lot of masculine bottoms. Would you agree?
I have, I've only identified as a gay man for about 4 years now. And as I've moved throughout this transition in my life, I'd say, I've started to notice that bottoming looks different for everyone. And there's so much stigma around it that I just think is fascinating, because when you get down to it, it's all just based upon heteronormative bullshit at the end of the day.
I heard an interesting point when I was listening to a YouTuber. They said something about a masculine bottom is masculine because they might be emulating what they are attracted to. Do you think that could be true? I mean, and there's so many different ways, not just, masculine versus feminine, but if you're attracted to someone who's into sports, and then all of a sudden you're walking around with jerseys because you want to attract those people that are into sports, that's kind of how I took it.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, and especially when you give that analogy, I have been that person to I know nothing about sports ball, but if the person I like is saying they like football, I'm there on Sunday hey, guess we're watching the game together.
I'll bring the chips and the lube. Now, there's something that's important, just as important as being a top or a bottom, knowing your position, is knowing your status. And we have a toy box here. So let's switch gears for a second and talk about something that people seem to beat around the bush about at times, and that's getting tested regularly. What I have in front of me is this toy box that you can get from Project Vida. If the thought that testing is out of reach, we'd like to remind you that Project Vida has partnered up with Sinai Chicago and is bringing you free testing in the comfort of your own home. All you have to do is scan the QR code or go to the URL on the screen and sign up to receive your free HIV testing kit. Once you receive the test, you take it, call the number provided, tell them the results, and then this fun little toy box will be sent to you. Now, it's in a discreet black box now, so you don't have the size queen and the rope. It's not see-through. Your neighbors ain't gonna be like, what they got going on over there? It's as easy as 1, 2, 3, form, test, toy box. And let's add the repeat on there. Go ahead and play and repeat. Brought to you by the Test, Play, Repeat campaign here at Project Vida. You got to be responsible out there.
That sounds awesome.
Take care of your business. Amazing. I got my toy box. It's time for me to go ahead and get another one. It's time for me to go ahead and get tested again.
Repeat part.
Exactly, that part. Now, back to the topic at hand. Let's get back to the penetration. Okay. Right in there. What would you like to start? How do you prepare, physically and mentally?
It depends on what we're doing, to be honest. So I am a fisting bottom, a vaginal fisting bottom. So if we are vaginally fisting that night, I have to clean out anally, because there is a chance that if I am overstimulated vaginally, something can come out anally. So that is something that people don't know that you have to do when you're vaginally fisting, that you have to clean out anally too to prepare yourself. So that's something that I do to make sure that I have no accidents. And I always make sure we have a lot of lube, because lube is necessary.
Can't never have too much lube.
You can never have too much lube, and spit is just not gonna cut it for fisting. It just don't work for us.
I thought you meant period.
Oh no, for fisting though. But fisting, that's a lot of...
I can see that, yeah. Spit ain't gonna... How do you get prepared mentally?
For me, I just kind of let myself relax and let myself go for the day and let myself be in that moment and be present, because we all know there is a bunch of crappy stuff going on in the world, and being intimate with whomever I'm intimate with at that time, it allows me to sink into headspace. So I really take that time seriously and allow myself to get grounded.
And that sounds very healthy, because like you said, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and it's good to just disconnect and enjoy, what situation is right in front of you. How I will prepare mentally, of course, physically clean it out, but mentally, since I'm verse for topping, I have to really be into that person. It almost has to be like an emotional attraction. Otherwise it's just, I don't know, I can't really take it seriously. Maybe I just won't get as strong for a person that I'm not necessarily emotionally, but at least got some kind of emotional connection to. Now, bottoming, that's a little bit more easy for me because, I can just focus on like the Big Mac truck about to slam into the, the tunnel. And that kind of would excite me. It's just, I like the passion and the for lack of better words, I was going to say thrust, but that too.
Okay, hey.
I like and it can be violent, and I don't know why that kind of violence just turns me on. So, it's just the whole, I don't know.
Look here, I am here for it. I am here for it.
I was going to say, if you're watching online, we do have some audience members here that have questions. I'm going to remind you at home. Go ahead and type that in, and we'll read that, and we'll answer your questions. We do have a question, though.
And Phobos, yeah, so we have an audience question right here. This is Antonio, the audience facilitator, for those that can't see me right now. Chucky, what's your question?
So I was wondering, what do you mean by violent?
The smacking, the sweating, the grunting, the motion. Like, if you really into it and you hear furniture moving, it's like, it sounds like somebody's... Okay, let me tell you this story. So I had a roommate. She was a female roommate. Our rooms were right next to each other. And I was just laying on my bed on my laptop. And I'm used to people outside of the window, like getting into it, arguing, fighting, or something like that. So I hear a struggle, and it's like it was in the next room. I'm trying to make sure she ain't fighting nobody. So I take my headphones off, and I'm like listening. And I hear sex, and I'm like, oh, now too much in their business. Okay. But, that kind of sound, that kind of, that smacking and everything, it just excites me.
That's passion right there.
That's passion, and it can be violent. It sounds violent for somebody that's not participating.
Well, so I think we had another question from another audience member. So
violence, how intriguing. How does one go about discovering if they like that or not? Like, what are some safe practices to, because everything, when you try to do your research on things, obviously you want to do things in a safe way. How do you go about finding out if violence is something that you're into?
Well, in my opinion, the first thing you can do, communicate with who you're going to connect with. Second thing, get tested. Unless you two people want to use protection, or just have a game plan before you even get started. Then get to know each other and figure out what you're looking for and what you want to give. If you're topping or if you're bottoming, make sure that that's a person that understands that you're maybe new to this, you're trying something new, and have patience with you. Don't just go in, or don't just, because there's the thing is, I don't know what to call it. I don't want to call it bottom shaming, but let's say if someone can't take the top, and then the top is disappointed, instead of them being like, oh, it's okay, whatever, they'll shame the bottom thinking that something's wrong with them.
That's bottom shaming?
Yeah, but then maybe it was the top. Maybe you don't know what you're doing. But I think communication is key. What would you say? What would you think is the best way to start, like, from the beginning?
I think you hit the nail right on the head. Like, communication. Communication is so important. Always making sure when you're doing something like that, safe words are important. So if you get into a situation and you decide, okay, nope, I didn't want to be this violent, you have a way out. So making sure you communicate before anything happens. Hey, this is my safe word. If I say this, consent matters. I can take that consent back at any time.
And even during, if you could say stop, but you can also say keep going. You can also say go faster. You can also say, let me just not go down that rabbit hole, but
consent is key. Mayura, what's your safe word?
Pineapple.
Phobos, what about you?
It would change with whoever I'm dealing with, because certain words might come up and it has nothing to do with what we're doing, but pineapple might come up. I'd be like, did you eat some pineapple today? Anything, anything can happen. But it would be pre-planned for me. It would be a mutual word for me and the person. So I don't have a set one. But also talking about preparation, cleaning out. When cleaning your butt, prioritize safety by avoiding excessive water pressure, ensuring lukewarm water temperature, and not overdoing the cleaning process to prevent micro tears and potential infections. Additionally, remember that the anus hosts beneficial bacteria vital to gut health, so aim to strike a balance between cleanliness and preserving this natural microbiome. I don't know how to say that word. I ain't here to lie to you.
Yes, Miss Frizzle. Yes.
Following these guidelines will help you maintain hygiene effectively while safeguarding your overall health. So you got to know what you're doing. You can't just hear word of mouth. You can't, oh yeah, you put this here, you turn this on. What if you turn it on too high, the water pressure? What if it's too hot?
It is terrible. The first time story time. Y'all, I got a shower shot off of Amazon.
I got one too. I ain't opened it yet.
Out of pure curiosity, because I read something on Tumblr that was like, if you want to get into anal, you need to learn how to clean out. So I get into the bathroom thinking I know what I am doing. I've gone through Tumblr. Tumblr has taught me what I need to know. Tumblr did not teach me what I need to know. I turned it all the way up. I put it on the temperature that my body was, and I laid there and like cried for an hour because I was not okay. So yes, make sure you know what you're doing.
Someone in the audience said, with that temperature, you was making chitlins.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
yeah, it
my
felt
goodness.
like it.
Now, we have someone who has a little bit more information from TikTok. Let's see what he has to say.
You're not alone, and a lot of guys struggle with this. There are a lot of factors that make an impact on how long it takes to clean out, including your diet, when you last ate, medications you may take, chronic conditions like irritable bowel syndrome that you may have. So try not to compare yourself to other people, but there definitely are things that you can do to make it a better process. Fiber supplements are key. Fiber twice a day really cleans up the residue in your colon and makes it so much faster to clean out. Also, don't overdo it with the water. If you put too much fluid up in your rectum, it's going to spill over the top curve of the rectum into the rectosigmoid junction and make the process longer by loosening up more stool above the rectosigmoid junction and making it a messier process and a longer clean out. So remember, you only need to clean out the last 6 to 8 inches of your rectum unless you're doing some heavy duty play. The more you know.
Now, those were some good points. Fiber is a win-win, not just to clean out, but it's good for you anyway. I'd like to remind you that you can revisit old broadcasts, suggest future shows, and you'll be one click away from signing up and getting a free test and toy box on our new page at projectvita.org/toy-with-me, no spaces. And speaking of the toy box, here's a little more about it with the video from Mount Sinai. Let's check it out.
Hey, Michelle, what are you doing tonight?
Hey Eric, Project Vida is doing the Toy With Me party on Zoom.
Nice. What's that all about?
They focused on different sex-positive topics, and they're going to be offering free home HIV testing kits through Sinai Infectious Disease Center.
HIV home test kits? How does that work?
So they're going to share a link in the chat where you can sign up to get your home test kit.
Okay, I've been wanting to get tested, but I didn't really want to leave the house.
I feel you. You just give them your contact info, and someone from Sinai will contact you to send out your free home HIV testing kits. They'll put it in an unmarked box to your mailbox.
Okay, then I do the test by myself? This sounds kind of difficult.
It's not that hard. Once you get the test kit, it's pretty easy. Just follow the step-by-step directions, and you'll get your results in about 20 minutes. Let Sinai know that you took the test and what your results were, and you can even call them and they'll walk you through it. Sinai will then contact Project Vida to let them know that you took the test, and they'll send you out a complimentary gift bag.
Can they also help me access PrEP and any other sexual health needs?
Yeah, of course. Sinai partner up with Project Vida to provide sexual health education, prevention tools, and medical treatment to the community. And they have lots of services too.
Sounds awesome. I definitely want to go and get tested at home, and I'll do the Toy With Me party too.
From the comfort of your own home. Now it's time for Just a Tip. This year's Just a Tip is brought to you by our audience facilitators.
Hey everybody, Antonio here, the audience facilitator, and I'm just here to talk about lube. So when looking for lube, you always want to make sure that you see the date because lube can expire. So make sure the date is good. Water-based lube is best for skin-to-skin contact. Oil-based, you should not use on condoms because it can deteriorate the condoms and toys. So remember, oil, not good for toys and condoms. Water is your best bet for that, and it's easier to clean up. I like Uber Lube. That's my favorite lube. It's an oil-based lube. It's a hybrid, but check Uber Lube out because it's very, very good. What about y'all? What do y'all use?
I would have to say spit. Goes with the whole violence, the barbaricness. So, how about y'all? How about you?
You know, I love this. It's random lube called Probe that I found at it's cheaplubes.com, but it has like all the different kind of lubes. But I found it at IML one year, and it's the best gel-based water base. It's a gel water based lube. So it's like it has a sticky consistency for fisting.
Oh, okay. That would make sense.
You said cheaplube.com?
Yep, cheaplubes.com. It has every lube that you want on there.
The more you know. So look at your lube, kids, and consent is key.
Say that. Key.
I know, right? Consent is key. We already talked about favorite types of lube. Now, what piece of advice would you give someone? Thank you, Antonio. What piece of advice would you give for someone who was topping or bottoming for the first time? I mean, we kind of talked about this, but if someone were to come up to you, let's say, hey, I'm bottoming for the first time. This is a guy that I'm trying to get to know, and he's some big deal. He's always topping people, so I hear. What would you tell me to do?
You know, it depends. If it's that, you know, actually, either way, I would tell them to take it slow. You know, be honest with each other, have great communication with each other. Make sure you are taking care of yourself, taking care of what you need to do. So making sure you're either using protection or you're tested. But taking it slow and communicating through the process is really important and key.
I would say with that kind of intimacy, it's time to basically lay all the cards out on the table. Don't try to, you know, cap like they say these days and be like, oh yeah, I could take all of that. Oh yeah, I'm the queen, I'm the king, I'm the, you know, no, not when you're not. You better let that person know, because they get up in there and find out you're on the novice level, and it won't be pleasurable for you. But yeah, I would say communication. Once again, just be open and honest. If you're gonna be opening your legs to somebody, open your mouth. Well, you can do that too, but open your mouth and tell them, you know, what they're getting into and what you expect. You know, because you could say, hey, I could do all that. I'd be bouncing on them, and your idea of bouncing on them is different from theirs. So
exactly.
Do we have any questions from the audience? You know, I'm an open book. I like to talk about stuff.
So we do have some questions that we got through online as well.
Okay.
So they're asking best safe way to have sex. What do y'all consider is a good safe way to have sex? And I believe they're speaking about maybe causing the least harm reduction.
Okay. I was about to say that, like, safe from what? There's a lot of things you can get safe from. Safe from getting arrested, doing it publicly, safe from STIs, safe from physical harm. But they're going the physical harm route. So like you said, I would say take it slow. You can't just go in there. And it's speaking mainly for the bottom to protect themselves so they don't, you know, feel that kind of harm, but also for the top, be mindful of the person that you're dealing with. You know, keep asking questions even during. It's not like you set everything up and you just go to town with your eyes closed and your ears closed and not listen to the person. It's an ongoing process to check in with the person that you're dealing with, is what I would say.
Yeah. And I would also go back to that conversation of like making sure your bottom is comfortable by doing the basic things of making sure you continue to add lube. Like if things are drying up, if it's not pleasurable for you, it's not pleasurable for your bottom either. So like,
well, one thing you can do is try to open up with smaller things or even bigger things. Get you get you an at-home test kit, get you a kit, and you could probably get you a size queen. That way you can open up the bottom, or the bottom can open themselves up. You know, they can be at home practicing, and then when they want to go with that hot top that they saw every week at the bar, then they'll be ready.
Yeah.
So, you know, it is also some personal responsibility too.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
not always up to just the top, unless you got that kind of dynamic. So, are there any more questions? Y'all, be typing them questions. We ready to answer.
Yeah, so we actually had a question, verse bottoms. Do they exist?
Oh, that's a good question. I believe they do. Because sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Me coming from a verse, I don't want to say verse background, but a verse standpoint, I grew up with some people who thought that being a verse was just being confused. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, because, you know, I'm a man and I'm attracted to men and I want all parts of the man. So it's like, how am I just going to choose a side? And how are you going to judge me for choosing the side? But yes, I believe verse bottoms exist. And it's actually, never mind. Go ahead. How do you feel?
You know, I giggled because if I am technical, I am a technical verse bottom, because I do top in case of emergencies. But in case of emergencies,
like that.
Like in case of emergencies, I will strap up.
I like that.
But it has to be some vital sexual emergency. But no, I definitely think that verse bottoms, they exist, and they are just as valid and important as our sides, our verses, our tops,
And verse
our
tops.
bottoms.
And verse tops. That's the thing too, you know. Don't shame a top for wanting to, you know, get penetrated every now and then. Nothing wrong with that. Do we have any more questions? I really like that question. Oh, I have a question for you. Do you use poppers?
You know, I have tried, and the way my blood pressure is set up,
Oh,
it was a no-go. Yeah, it wasn't for me. But I appreciate that other people can have that experience. It just was not for me.
I may or may not have tried them, and I didn't see what the big deal was. But I want to try them in a different setting, if you get what I'm saying, and see what that do. But you know, I'm open to try them again. But I don't see the big deal with them. You know, some people, they just love them. You see them walking around the club just for no reason. I'm like, okay, that's your drink, huh? The drink of choice. All right.
Hey, Phobos, we had some questions about some vocab that we've been using. So side, verse, can we explain that for the folks at home?
Now, side, I don't want to sound like the professor, but side, I believe, is foreplay, non-penetration. And that does exist because some people enjoy just that. Some people, that's all they need. And you don't have to be a side your whole life. You could be in your side season. And then you could decide you want to get back into penetration and switch. Uh-oh, that struck a nerve with somebody. What you got to say?
I did not production. Who, me?
Because you was ready.
So I may or may not have side moments. And so during the panoramium, I may or may not have edge for a max of about 5 hours.
Impressive.
I only stopped to urinate.
Wow.
But for me, it is it's a headspace thing, and I'm able to, it's almost like meditation for me.
Oh, edgy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's really about getting to that height and stopping yourself before you come. And so when I do penetrate, because I edge, I'm able to go longer than before I started edging.
Okay.
So I literally probably edge sometimes maybe an hour a week. An hour a day, I should say.
Oh, so you an hour a day. That's your edge and that's your lunch break.
No, so I wake up every morning about 5 to 6 in the morning, and so I have enough time. I already have my clothes laid out, so I know, and I don't have to watch porn to edge.
Now, with you edging, that's not penetration, of course. Would you consider that as side?
Yes.
Because it's not penetration and it's just you. So, okay. I never really thought about that. I thought of side as involving more than one
foreplay,
person,
yeah.
but no penetration. But I guess you could side by yourself too, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Listen, if you don't love yourself, how you gonna love or whatever the girl said?
Truth.
That's true. You had a question, right? Because you raised your head at the same time. Let's hear it.
So when it comes to bottoming, I know sometimes at the beginning, and this is for like more newer people, but I know sometimes at the beginning it can be painful. So I guess my question is, how do you know when the pain stops and then the pleasure starts, or how do you decide how long does that period usually take?
For me, it's my body that decides that. Maybe my mental too, because like I said, I'm going into it with the barbaric, violent kind of standpoint. So I'm expecting, some slapping, some smacking, and some sweating, maybe some cussing, maybe some spitting too. But, I go into that with that mindset, and pain is going to come with that, but it's going to turn into pleasure. And it's just up to my body when that's over.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar when I do anal stuff. It's very much up to my body of like, this hurts a little bit more today than normal. I always recommend especially for new people who are starting out with anal, to plug before doing things. So I'll keep a plug in for like an hour beforehand just to loosen things up and get things prepared for what's going to happen. So I definitely think that's a beneficial tool to have, and that can help kind of gauge between the pleasure and the pain.
That's a good point. Butt plug.
Butt plug.
Oh, you just said plug. I'm like, what?
Well, you plug it in the butt, so it's a butt plug. No. You could do a vibrator, but like I said, using one of these and getting yourself ready. That way you have control. Oh, yeah, another question.
Earlier in the discussion, we all talked about shower attachment for cleaning out. That sounds kind of messy. How do you explain how that happens? Are you in a shower and waste it?
I'm gonna leave that up to you because I bought one. I haven't opened it yet.
Well,
That's a
I
really
don't
good
know
question.
if I do it right, so don't ask me. No, I'm just joking.
I would assume that everything happens in the shower. That's where I will go anyway, because I'm not about to, have a shower attachment and step out of the shower and make a mess in my bathroom. I'll just make the mess in the shower.
So
that's what I'm thinking. I haven't used it.
What I do is I make a mess. I make a mess in the toilet, so I go from the shower to the toilet and then back to the shower, and then to the toilet and then back to the shower and then back to the toilet.
I heard some people talk about ooh. No, I'm talking about like just not chunks. I'm talking about like liquid.
But like that first couple of clean outs is chunks.
Oh.
So you don't want to do that in the shower.
It depends, because I be not eating for like 24 hours just to, I fast a little bit beforehand.
But no, so that's my way of doing it, of like when I clean out anally, I make sure that I go from like shower to toilet.
And so you're going to be hogging the bathroom.
Yeah. Yes, I fill up until
you release
in the toilet,
in the
shower, fill up, hold it, toilet, release.
Somebody said that's a dance.
It is. It's cumbersome. That's why I use my front hole a lot. Oh, I'm a trans man. You missed the beginning.
I'm sorry, I missed the
It's
beginning.
okay.
Have you heard the term bonus hole?
Yeah, I call it my bonus
Okay.
hole. I
I was
call it my
surprised you didn't.
mangina.
Okay.
Sometimes, yep. I have many names for it.
I know that's right.
I had a question and a comment. I was earlier you said about poppers and your blood pressure. What does that make? At least I feel like how was that experience?
So what Poppers does is, from my understanding, it like lowers your blood pressure. So that's why you feel like this heightened sensation. And I already have high blood pressure, and I take medicine for it. So it made me very woozy. So I didn't want to continue with it.
Yeah.
And then it inebriated me to the point where it didn't feel like I was still in control of the scene. So I didn't feel comfortable continuing.
I have a friend that explained that to me the other day. He has high blood pressure. He's taking medicine for it too, and he said he stays away from poppers because he doesn't want to mix the two.
Yeah, and I have high blood pressure as well. Not use poppers, but not like it's an everyday thing. It's just whenever there's a bottoming situation happen, which is very rare. But yeah, I never. I take medication as well. I never had felt anything. It makes things easier when you bottom.
Yeah, but it's something to think about too. That's a double whammy on dropping your pressure.
I made me nervous and shit.
Well, maybe it was meant for you to hear, so you could pay attention to it and just,
Yeah, I'm glad I'm here.
It is worth noting using poppers. It's especially risky to use it if you're also using regular sugar.
yes, because
Though the nitrates. And so nitrates tend to affect your blood pressure. Beats are a natural way to affect your body in the same way. Sometimes people think beats supplement to get an erection. So if you are with poppers and you are using something that is for erectile function, be very, very, very careful and always consult with your primary care.
always.
We had another audience question back here.
We do.
I guess it kind of goes back to what he said. Are there any natural alternatives for poppers, or like things that are kind of commonly known to provide the same effect?
That I don't know. Do you know of any weed?
So we're getting some weed in the audience, or some weed suggestions?
I'm hearing weed. I'm hearing muscle relaxers. Edibles that falls under THC.
I'm trying to think. So I know for me, so first of all, I mean, since we're being transparent, I've actually never had to clean up when I bottom. What I do is, if I know I'm bottoming, I obviously stay away from any dairy at all, and then I just go on like a bottom friendly, little diet.
See,
because I realize, like, I'm not gonna lie, like when I hear people like, oh, I cleaned out, I'm like, I don't do that, and I've never cleaned out. Like at all. Like if I know for a fact I'm about to, get down with the get down, I just watch what I eat that day. So it's just bottom friendly, so I can avoid all that mess. Cause let me tell you something, I clean out for 30 minutes and I get only 10, 20 minutes of good time. Oh, we're fighting. Do you hear me? Because now not only did you waste my time, but you wasted my back fat. That's a problem, and we gotta take that over to our Lord.
that's just round one. See,
So the natural stuff for me is weed. Though weed is very relaxing for me. If I smoke, oh, baby, you better get ready for like 4 or 5 rounds, baby. That's demon time. If I smoke weed.
That was a really good question. I want to look into that more to see other natural alternatives. I like that.
Yeah.
So I got a question. Phobos, both of you. Because I know what I do. Do you have a top friendly diet?
Oh, you know what? A lot of people say tops can eat what they want and all that stuff. I deem that is not necessarily true. Because depending on what you're into, if the top eats all this junk and is nasty, and let's say they come taste like battery acid, that's not fun. Tops, drink enough water, drink fruit, eat fruit, eat pineapples. Just eat things, have a diet that's gonna, have something not so disgusting coming out of secreting from your body. That's what I would say. They say tops can eat whatever they want, but I mean, while you're having sex, you don't want your stomach gurgling and going crazy. So if you're a top and you have acid reflux, don't eat that pizza and them fried wings before you start, because now you're gonna be feeling it while you going up and down, and so that's taking some personal responsibility. But tops can't eat everything. I think that's a myth.
Yeah, I think that is too. And I also think about the fact that even bottoms need to think about what they're eating as far as like vaginal bottoms. Like I'm a squirter, and all the time we talk about like the fact that like your squirt, the taste of it changes based upon what you're putting in your body. So that's important for you to do and know that like, hey, if I'm eating asparagus, it's not gonna taste very well.
You are what you eat. If I'm eating you, it better taste good.
That.
Well, it don't have to, not all the time. Just most of the time, just a courtesy. If there aren't any more questions, do we have any more online? Do we have any more from the audience?
So we did have a question earlier about studs. So what is a stud?
You want to answer it, or you want me to answer?
I mean, I did say I was a stud, so I guess I'll answer.
You brought it up.
Have y'all seen that show, Hoochie Daddies? No, I'm just joking. But it is such a good show. But nevertheless, a stud is a AFAB person, an assigned female at birth individual who is masculine presenting, but is not transgender. They are still a feminine sound body of mind. They consider themselves a female. They just happen to like masculine presenting attire and stuff.
Maybe even like the haircut, the hairstyle, maybe even the mannerisms, the way that they stand. Because I grew up around a lot of studs, or females that considered themselves studs. Soft studs, hardcore studs. What was the word for that? No, this is derogatory. Now I ain't gonna bring up that, but soft studs, because vocabulary changes. It's kind of fluid.
I'm trying to think of what word it is now.
Yeah,
Valid.
it starts with a D.
Oh.
Yeah, because I knew some lesbians that considered themselves that because they were so hardcore at being a stud that they was like, oh, I'm not just a stud. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
go ahead, girl, with your bad stuff.
I know those lesbians. I know those lesbians today.
Oh,
They were still like, no.
Yeah, that's what it is, I'm like, okay, well, that's what you want to be called. That's what I'm going to call you. So if there aren't any more questions for now, I got some announcements. I have some announcements from Onyx Midwest. Our next Onyx Bar Night is this Friday, and it's going to be called And Why Aren't You in Uniform on Friday, March 22nd at Jackhammer, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. And as a reminder, if you are interested in joining Onyx, please come by the bar night and ask any of our members more about the organization or visit onyxmidwest.com. I would suggest going to the bar night because it's about to be a blast. But let's talk about IML 2024. Also with Onyx, you can come and visit us at IML. We'll be having our renowned dance party Saturday, May 25th at the Baseline Bar from 10 to 2:30 a.m., 10 p.m. to 2:30 a.m., Memorial Day weekend. To get in free, you can pre-test with Project Vida leading up to the dance or test at the door. Otherwise, it's a $20 cover. You don't want to miss this dance either. It's about to go down. Stay up to date on all of our IML news. Go to onyxmidwest.com/IML. Now, I missed the one last year because I was in a contest, but I'm for the show out this year. Now, we have an announcement from Latina X Health Summit. We are excited to announce Project Vida along with VIV, AFC, and our partners from health providers across the Chicagoland area will be hosting a Latina X Health Summit, a health summit focused on gay, bisexual, and same-gender loving men's health. There will be health workshops, services, speakers, food, and more July 14th, hosted at Joe's on Weed Street. I haven't been there in a very long time, but I know where that is. That's a huge bar.
Really?
Yes. Empowerment Echo. Project Vida is starting a domestic violence support group for lesbian and bisexual women that will be on Tuesdays from 4:30 to 6 o'clock p.m. Whether you identify as a survivor, someone currently in a challenging situation, or an ally seeking to support loved ones, this is a dedicated space for all who need it. For more information, please contact the Project Vida Care team using the information on the screen. That's a very important topic, especially these days. And finally, the next Toy With Me is streamed live on the third Sunday of every month, like today. Our next stream will be on Tantric Sex here at Project Vida Wellness Center on St. Louis and 26th Street in Little Village. We will have more seats for a live audience, free testing, and are looking forward to seeing you here or hear from you in our live chat. To check all of our events, you can go to projectvita.org/events and onyxmidwest.com/onyx tag, I guess you could say tag calendar. You'll see it on there. So we talked about our bar night. We talked about IML. We talked about some of the things that Project Vida has. But before you go, it's time for our live Q&A, more of it, where we answer your questions from the chat and our social media pages. So let's get those questions. If there aren't any more, there should be some more because this is a good topic. I could talk about this all day.
Yeah, so I had a question. So who is your favorite bottom? Who's your favorite top? And what qualities about them did you like so much about it?
Do you mean like in the porn industry? Because I wouldn't know if somebody's a top or a bottom unless I see them doing it.
I'm thinking think about your best for you. I mean, I guess because you're first. But what's your favorite experience? So as a top, what was your favorite bottom? As a bottom, who was your favorite top? And talk about that experience and what made it so good.
Are we being messy? Are you on names?
I mean, what? You want names?
Names. Just no. We just want to know what
social media handles.
I know, right? I know.
So we just want to know no names. We just want to know what made it such a good experience, and their Instagram handle. So go ahead.
Well, mine's is real quick. This one guy, he was a bottom. He had like a southern accent. He was from Mississippi. It was real. I love hearing him talk, but I also loved hearing him moan too, because that was the first time somebody jumped on top of me and just took control and kind of like just grabbed me and rolled me like a horse. And I was like, okay. Yeah, so that was the first time that happened, and that was the best experience for that. Shout out to him. And the best me being on bottom experience, well, there's two of them. I ain't gonna talk about the one with the man that ended up in the hospital, but I'm gonna talk about, actually I will talk about that one. So first was the one, I was in San Diego, and that was the first time I had a bear. I was mauled by a bear. Big old hairy, stocky, he was like probably 6'4".
Yeah.
What? About the man in the hospital?
No, you said a bear and they thought a real bear.
Oh, no, I got mauled by a human bear.
Bitch, you almost there. Not smoke.
I would have been smiling. But no, he was smoky. Yeah, he big old hair. That was the first time I had that experience, so that was my favorite experience with that. But this one time, I was in my 20s, like early 20s. He was like early 40s. We met through some friends. We were in the basement. We fell asleep. We woke up middle of the night, started getting involved. I was the bottom, he was the top. All of a sudden, we were in the middle of it, and he had an asthma attack. So I'm like, what's going on? We woke up everybody in the house. I took him to the emergency room. I was standing there, in the lobby. The lady come back. It felt like I was on Noah's Ark. She come up to me, talking about, oh, you could go back there. I'm looking at her like, girl, calm down. This is not my man. So I go back there, and I'm sitting there looking at him. He got the mask on his face, the oxygen mask, and I'm just looking at him, just shaking my head. And he go take the mask off to me. So it was good, too. Put your mask back on, I'm just sitting there still horny, like. Anyway, so that was my favorite experience, only because in that moment, his friends was like going off on him, like telling me, baby, that's your claim to fame. You put that man in the ER. I'm like, okay. I mean, and he said it was good. So too bad we didn't get to finish, but
I can't top that, y'all. I didn't put nobody in the hospital.
I actually took him there too, so
Oh wow,
I wonder where he at. Maybe we can finish what we started.
you should hit him up.
I am.
Yeah, after this, just send him a text. It's like, I've been thinking of you.
Yeah, I told the world about. I told Toy with me about you. But do you have any stories? You gotta have it.
I would say 2 different experiences. Both of me bottoming and getting really into like headspace so far so that like, you ever have that feeling where your legs give out and you like can't, you go to like,
You mean when they shaking?
yes, and you like go to stand up and you just fall.
I have had that.
I've had that experience. I say I have that experience almost 95% of the time with my spouse. My spouse is that good at sex.
Oh my goodness.
So I am very lucky that my spouse gets my body.
What's their IG handle?
For research
For research purposes.
For networking purposes.
Network purposes.
For networking purposes.
And I would say the secondary time is my other partner is also very good at laying it down, and I am just fortunate enough to have 2 very good
You got
partners.
the best of both worlds.
I do. I have the best of both worlds of being able to be pleased.
I ain't mad
fully.
at you. Now the leg shaking part, I've experienced that. One time that stands out, I don't know if I experienced it before, but this one time was when I got out of boot camp and there were people doing stuff in the showers, masturbating, whatever they doing. Me, I kept my hands not even to myself. I just didn't do none of that because I'm like, I'm not here for that. Let me be professional. So 2 whole months, me not touching myself. Then I got out and I was like, okay, let me see how long I keep this going. So I linked up with somebody. And boy, you remember that scene on what was a Scary Movie where they came and then it splashed everywhere? That's what it was given. The legs,
Everything.
lift off.
Speaking
Never
about
forget it.
coming and big loads, so we had a question about finishing. Is finishing everything, and do you have to finish in a certain experience, or can you enjoy sex without finishing?
Me personally, I feel like I can if I have a not necessarily connection, but like I guess you could say a relationship with that person. Like if this is a person that I link up with from time to time on a regular basis, then we don't have to finish every single time. I could finish next time, or I could not finish next time, finish the time after that. But if it's someone who I finally got my hands on and I'm like, you know what? We just gonna go all the way, but I feel like you don't have to. But if it's that spur of the moment and it's that person that I feel like I need to, or at least make them.
I think finishing is an interesting concept because it looks different for different anatomies. So like I can come 10 to 15 times a session, but that's because the female body can do that. Like AFAB bodies can do that. So I think that like AFAB, again meaning assigned female at birth, I think that that's a beautiful thing that I just am able to be able to like 2 minutes in, I'm like, oh, well,
there's the first
we can
one.
keep going, but if you stopped right now, I'm good. But like, it's different for AMAB people. Like I don't know how I would feel not being able to get off. Like that would be hard. Blue balls is hard.
Now, another thing for people that are assigned male at birth, I guess there's a stigma, which sometimes it is true, that when we're finished, it's time for us to just roll over and just be like, I don't like to do that because I like to please my partner. So if I do finish, it's like we can keep going until you finish, but you're going to have to time it because if I'm ready to finish again, then we just going to have to keep going. It's just going to be playing leapfrog, because you're going to have to catch me in them couple of minutes where I don't want to finish again. But if I'm back up, here we go. Let's start our engines. We got a question?
So I'm trying to figure out how to say this. What happens if you is it okay not to finish?
Yeah.
because I've been told that I got this friend who has had very intense orgasms, and it's stopped the room. It stopped the room.
So everybody just, I'll have what he's having. That's what everybody was doing.
Mm-hmm.
One of those.
So my friend, his longest continuous orgasm was 2 hours. And so
It's a trooper.
I'd be late to work enough. I can't.
Right?
what,
I couldn't.
I mean,
That's-
it was, so what had happened was that person had a medical issue.
Oh, okay.
So had a really bad concussion, lost memory, but increased sex. So literally, it's calmed down a lot, but the shortest, after it happened, the shortest orgasm that person had was 30 minutes.
That's reasonable.
The longest was 2 hours.
That's a lot of time.
2 hours is too long.
Well, like, even like
I can't.
light touch.
I would be starving after that.
I would be so starving.
The person had someone to literally almost call 911 because they thought, something is wrong. The friend was
At least
convulsing like a seizure.
At least they was with the right person that was gonna look out for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of just be like, you'll be all right. Oh, we got another question.
Yes. So that person is your friend, it's not you. So that person was assigned male.
The question was that person that was described assigned male at birth? Because, they can give you out there.
They were.
So I guess I'm the man for it.
I mean, for it to be that long, I had the legs shaking and the toes curling. I guess that's an orgasm, but 2 hours?
I mean, the body is amazing.
It is.
Again, I
Wait. Yeah, I got questions.
but I had a really bad concussion to the point that Child, I might as well say the truth.
Talking about my friend.
So, fuck the friend. Okay, so I'm the friend.
Yeah, we figured that one out.
And about 7 years ago, I had a really bad concussion to the point that I had amnesia. Didn't know who my parents were. I just knew that they were mom and dad. Couldn't tell you their names. Nothing. It was real bad. Forgot people. Long story short, that was the bad part. The good part was during sex, even not just penetration sex, but even like mutual masturbation, it caused me to have multiple orgasms.
That's not a bad thing to gain.
I was constantly, it's not that it's coming out, though. You're not jack.
Is it like your nerves are still
Like
jumping?
literally, you touch my nipple and I'm shaking.
That's almost like a superpower.
Again, I'm
have any
legendary
more?
for a reason.
I see. Well, I hear. Do we have any more questions?
And what's your IG handle?
Now, remember to follow at Project Vida Inc., which is INC, not INK, and Onyx Midwest on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, on Instagram, and look for our stories and posts on our upcoming shows, topics, and call for questions. We will answer the questions you send at the end of the show every month. So send those questions. If you're watching this 2 weeks from now, comment a question underneath there. We'll readdress it. After each of these shows, audience members will have the opportunity to test right here at Project Vida. We provide you with a short form to fill out, and then one of our certified testers conducts testing of your choosing, such as for HIV, syphilis, gonorrhea, and chlamydia, or all of the above. And one of our prevention staff will reach out with you with the results. And don't forget, you can set up an appointment to come Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. for a walk-in test using the number on your screen. Thank you for watching Tour with me. And thank you, Mayura ONYX. Let me say the full name, for coming and being with us today. And thank you, Project Vida, for having us with Tour with me. We'll see you next month.
Thank you all. It's so. I say the full name.
Yeah, I know. I ain't want to.